The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
Hey, today we are in our podcast studio with our friend Dan Baker of Golden Goose. Dan, it's so good to have you here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
It's about time. We've been talking about this for months, and I know that you've been busy, and we've had a few things going on. So we are back in the chamber office, and here you are.
Yes, here I am.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for the tea, too.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about Golden Goose.
Alrighty.
Tell us about you and how you started Golden Goose.
All right. So Golden Goose Digital Marketing started kind of on a whim. Josh and I were working for another marketing agency, and we were pretty unhappy, and we felt like the industry as a whole was kind of going down a path that we didn't really like anymore, and that we didn't really want to be a part of. So what we went ahead and did is just kind of got brainstorming and started, saying, we were on these long walks that we would be on, which kind of sounds romantic, but it's not. It's just something to get away. And, so we would do that, and we would just kind of complain. And then he was like, you know what, we should stop complaining. We should do something about it. So we were like, well, let's start a business then. So we start, thinking about how the business should be ran and things like that. So what we tried to do was come up with ideas to basically do everything different. So if a marketing agency charges, a 50% margin, we're not going to charge anywhere near that. If a marketing agency doesn't want to show you the real numbers, we're going to show you the real numbers. So that's kind of how it started. And that's what it turned into was, well, then we could do this. This could be a viable option. And we started kind of putting it together. And then, before we knew it, Josh is calling me, and I was going on a cruise at that time with my wife, and he goes, "We're quitting our jobs when you get back. We're doing this, and it's happening." And I said, fantastic. And my wife was panicked. So we had the worst cruise of our lives because my wife was just stressed the whole time about us starting this terrifying business. So that's kind of how it got started. And that's what we wanted to do was, break the chain of that and, be able to help people. So that's kind of what we did whenever we started.
Story.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So have you been on a cruise since?
I don't know. We didn't, because we went on that cruise, and then we started the business, and then a few months go by, and we ended up, one of our clients took us out to Florida, and then that was in January 2020, and then the pandemic hit, because we picked the best time to start a business, which was, end of the year 2019, and then, we're in the throes of this, and, and then March rolls around, and the place, everything shuts down, and we're scrambling, and, we had a few good clients, and they kind of dropped off because of, just spend, and obviously one of the first two things that get cut in a business, sales and marketing, that was us. But luckily they came back later on, and that's good. But we scrambled, and it was really helpful for us. So that's it. But yeah, surprisingly, we have not been on a cruise since. So I'm sure my wife would like to redo that. Yeah. So
yeah, I think it might be time. So it's you and Josh, and you have other team?
Yeah, so we have one other partner. His name is Ben Decker, and he's an amazing web guy. And that was kind of one of the things too was we started the business, and we've pivoted over our tenure, and we started out just wanting to do like advertising, and then we kind of realized that there's more of a hole in that market where that doesn't create a whole solution for somebody. So somebody might need a website as well, because where am I going to drive advertising traffic to? They might not have that, and then that picked up really big, and then the same thing happened from the social side of things, and people came to us and said, well, I love what you're doing there, but my social is terrible. What can you do with me there? And so that's kind of how it rolled together. So we have Ben, and Ben is fantastic. He's an amazing web designer who just will blow your socks off anything he does. And it's turned me into like a total snob online now, because whenever I'm on a site, I'll send it to him like, this site is terrible. I can't believe somebody paid for this, and he'll be like, I know. And then we get into it, and then Josh throws something funny in, and that's, just it ends where it's 9:00 at night and we're still talking about work stuff, and it's just funny. So
it sounds like a good team though.
Yeah, it's just the three of us, and it's perfect. I mean, we get some help here and there from we've got some really really great gals that help us out from time to time with certain things, but for the most part it's us. And yeah, we have a ton of fun as much as we can. I mean, we're pretty much remote. Josh ran to the mountains as soon as COVID hit, and I was always kind of holed up at home, and I've always been kind of a hermit. And then same with Ben, he built this awesome office, or he's still in the middle of building it. Maybe someday, that's our running joke, is someday Ben will finish the office, but it's at least usable. So yeah, that's great. But yes, it's perfect.
Very cool. Well, you've been a chamber member for a while now.
Yeah.
Talk about how you've been involved in the chamber.
So we joined the chamber, and it was funny. This is the funny story that I always tell about this. Was it was probably January of 2020, and Josh looked at me and said, "We really need to, put ourselves out there. We need to be networking." I said, "Yeah, that makes sense." And he goes, "Let's join a chamber." And I said, "What? Let's join a chamber of commerce?" I was like, how old are we? What's gonna happen? Are you sure you want to do that? And he said, "Yeah, my grandfather," and I was like, "Hold on, okay, this is the story, great." And yeah, and he's like, "And he was part and all this stuff in California," and he's just and I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we tore around and we got lucky and we came to Mesa Chamber and we met with Susan and she was awesome. And we left that meeting and Josh said, "That's the one we're picking. We're joining this chamber." And so that's kind of how we got started. Is we just joined up and we loved it. We started going to all the events. We started going to everything and trying to get our foot in the door. Josh and I are a little bit awkward, a little socially awkward at times. So we definitely struggle with meeting people and stuff, but it's helped us a ton doing it and we're really happy with it. But yeah, so it took us a little while to get it, but now we've got our bearings. I feel like we would, we're looking forward to when things pick back up so we can really get back in it. We can show our social stride, as it were. I don't know. So
well, and you're part of one of the networking groups.
Yeah, so we're part of the Riverview Leads group and we're very happy. That's a great group of people there and that is awesome. We were lucky enough to kind of get in on that right before everything happened and we were able to meet with everybody before, so we kind of felt good about that.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of it for us. And then
hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You were part of the golf tournament.
Yes, so we were part of the golf tournament, and then additionally, we helped you guys out and did a bunch of stuff with the Mesa Cares Act as well.
I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
Yeah.
So when we started identifying the needs, and then who could actually assist with those needs, you guys were top of mind for the web development piece. So talk about that, because I know we were throwing a lot of work at you.
Yeah, so it was funny. I think we came in a little late.
A lot of challenges.
Yeah. And I remember seeing it, and we were busy, and I remember saying something to the effect of whenever it first got thrown out to Josh and Josh and Ben about it and saying, "Hey, would you guys be into it?" And they're like, "Yeah, maybe, but we are pretty busy, so it might be hard." And so we didn't really say much about it. And then I got a phone call from Bob, and he said, "Can you help me out? I've got one client that I really could use some help with." And so, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we start working with this one client. I think, long story short, on that one though, we didn't actually work with that particular client. So that's how that panned out. And then Bob called me back and said, "Well, that's fine. We actually have a few more. Would you be willing to kind of take our overflow?" And we said, "Sure." And so we start taking a little bit of overflow. And then I don't even know if 2 weeks go by, and he says, "Actually, I need you to be our premier web development team for the Mesa Cares program." And we said, "Okay, we can do that." And here's 20 clients, and go. And we're like, "Okay."
Well, you know what? It pays off, right, in the long run to say yes to things, right?
Absolutely.
Because you had a bunch of clients then.
Yes.
Obviously, some nice income that you weren't expecting, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then hopefully made some kind of long-term relationships out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even I know one of the things that we really enjoyed about the Mesa Cares was being able to help people that we might not have been able to help, because we do recognize that our services, because of what we do and who we are a little bit more premium at times. And we get that sometimes we're not able to help some of the people that we want to. And we do the best that we can in every situation. We always try to work with people and their budgets and what their timelines are and things like that. But it was great because there were some businesses that we really felt like we were able to help, and we were really happy to help. And we met some awesome people that even if we're not working with them, just knowing them has been so great and so beneficial for us that it's helped us grow, and it helped us grow as business people, as just persons, as whatever. So it was a really good program, and we were so thankful and happy to be a part of it. So if nothing else.
Well, we got to see some of your web work for those clients.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody ended up being very happy.
Yeah, I think so.
Really good.
We felt really good about the stuff that we did, and that was kind of the point that we kind of made was we want to give people the best foot forward. I don't want to just, I know initially whenever we were kind of talking, and we may have gone a little over our heads at times, but that was what we were hoping to do. Bob would be like, "Don't worry, the point is to help them get online," and then we're over here helping them do, build this amazing website that can do all this stuff and all these fancy features, and or we're helping them do all kind "Well, I don't have a Google My Business. I'll help you build that real quick," or "Oh, I don't have anything. I can help you, give you a little this." And exactly.
Yeah.
So that was it was perfect.
The next day, it will come back though.
Yeah, we were super happy with it. So
awesome.
It was a cool
program. Thank you
program.
for stepping up to do that, because obviously there was a great need, and it's amazing how many small businesses don't have a web presence to begin with.
Yes.
Let alone a poor one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's very cool.
Oh,
Hey,
so
Bob.
I'm going to talk? Okay. I'm in.
I think you have some questions.
I do. Actually, I have a few questions.
Oh, good.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, Bob.
Okay.
So, who is your client? So, when somebody calls you up, like, what do they need that you're the best fit for?
So in a lot of cases, we feel like some of the best fits for a client are there's like two situations. Either somebody is in a position where sales are down and they're looking for maybe creative ways to increase their sales because maybe the traditional ways that they've been doing it or their sales teams aren't really necessarily hitting the mark anymore and things like that. And we're able to come in and help them with that. Another version of that is the exact opposite, where somebody's sales are through the roof and they want to keep growing their business, but now they're having a hard time actually maybe like identifying those or pushing into different markets, or they can't find a salesperson or something like that. So we work with both of those situations. And then obviously we work really well with people that are maybe starting off, or maybe, they need to start building their brand, or they have something established, but they want to retool. I mean, it's funny, we get asked that a lot, and we just had a meeting about, well, what's our niche? Well, our niche is everybody, because we've worked with we've stretched the gamut. We worked with, the small onesie twosie companies to the Fortune, 500 companies that are out there. And so we've ran that gamut, as it were, and we can help anybody. And we've been successful in all of those arenas. And that's currently what our clientele looks like. We have the really small organizations that just, are just 1-2 person down up to, a 30 person company up to 1,000 person company. So we have, this weird stretch, and the industries vary too, which is funny because I know a lot of people want to kind of find a niche because they want to create kind of a plug and play scenario. Like, hey, I only want to work with dentists. It's like, that's great. I can work with dentists, but I can also work with financial advisors and lawyers and doctors and internet service providers and, people in e-commerce spaces, or people, in education or nonprofit. We can work with all those because we have in the past and we've had success. And it also is a great challenge for us, which is what we really like, is the challenge of it. I don't like the idea of like, I'm just going to create a system and a platform that's going to work for one service industry only, or one whatever, industry, and then I'm just going to plug it into everybody and it's going to turn into this cookie cutter approach. I want everybody's to have a unique advertising approach or unique web presence or whatever, because every business is different, even if they are in the same business. Even us, I mean, walk down the street, you're going to trip across somebody who owns a digital marketing company. So it's probably a good idea for us to try to differentiate as well.
So you've got there's a ton of tools that you utilize in the process of that. You talked about web development, which is one.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the other tools that you guys can utilize to help a business.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the tools that we can utilize, one of the best tools we have is from an advertising perspective. So because that's kind of what we started out with, our first and foremost, that's where we've built a lot of the pieces to. And we have access as a digital marketing agency that a normal person wouldn't necessarily have access to. So we have advertising platforms that we can reach into that somebody else, coming off and saying, hey, I want to do it myself. That's great, but you're going to just live inside of Google Ads, which we can do. That's what we work with. We love that, but we have tools that go beyond that. We have, custom reporting tools that we utilize that help people understand what's going on. We can help tie in all those pieces for them. So if they have Google Analytics and they're running ads and they're, doing social stuff, we can kind of bring it all in-house for them, and we can show them how that's doing, how much, what is your web presence doing for you, and how can we benefit and, build up from that. And then obviously we have a bunch of tools around. If somebody needs help with social, we can help them, from, if they need help with building better content, if they need help with understanding how to schedule and, understanding the nuances of kind of the psychology of when to post and what to post and how to post and things like that. And we have some tools around that can help them. And same with if they were to come with us and have, more than just online advertising questions, they wanted to work with email marketing tools or something like that. So there are a number of tools that we utilize. I'm not sure off the top of my head, how many we utilize, but I would say at least a dozen or so different tools that we use that help somebody improve their overall, web presence.
So recently, in the last 6 months or so, there's been a lot of chat out in the universe about privacy and about changes, and especially some of the changes that a certain company who shall remain nameless is implementing in regards to privacy. How important does that make having a partner like Golden Goose? How important does that make you guys to help people navigate those changes?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. So kind of helping you through that journey, because I think it's really scary, and we've been asked that a lot, and say, hey, certain companies that, they're a certain type of fruit and possibly might have those types of opinions, that they want to help people and protect them from their, from being spammed with things like that. Now, we have always taken the approach that, it's like annoy the right people, so no one is going to be upset about an advertisement that comes through that is specific to something that they're interested in or that they care about. What people don't like are these ads that mean nothing to them and are boring. It's like it might as well just be a commercial on a television program because that's what it is. It's just a shotgun approach at that point. And that's what having a partner like us does, is we help to hone that audience and create something for you so that you're, annoying the right people, as it were, is what we always say. And I think it is important because we can help you navigate that and understand that, because a lot of people are kind of like, so does that mean that I'm just going to be cut off? And it's like, well, that data is somewhere. And I doubt that all the data that has been collected is suddenly just going to like poof and it's gone. It's still there. It's just that as we move forward and we need to kind of adjust our approaches and be ready for that kind of new world. And there are a ton of things that they're doing. I mean, another company that happens to be pretty big in the web space recently, on their own browser that they have, deleted cookies. They're gone. And it's funny that they did that, considering that they are the ones who might also be doing some of these advertisements and collecting this data. And I think it's important to work with a company like us because we're still going to be able to access those pieces, because they're still allowing marketing agencies into those tools to absorb that information and those data points to build those audiences and then run ads. And it's like they're almost taking it away from the people that wouldn't be in an agency standpoint, as if it's almost like they're creating a kind of a tool in which they can, people can be held accountable and things like that. And that way, it's the same way. It's like, and maybe they're treating it like that. It's like people used to practice medicine without a medical license. And maybe it's that same kind of thing. Is focusing around, maybe we should be advertising and we should be putting a little bit more intention into the people that we're allowing do the advertising. So I think that's where working with us would be beneficial, is having a partner like that who can help you navigate that and understand and assuage your fears about this disappearing. And suddenly, well, how does targeting work if I can't target? Well, you'll still be able to target. It's going to be a little bit, things are going to get a little bit, a little more fluid, and they're going to get a little bit more difficult to do. But that's where a company like us can come in and help you navigate that and remove that difficulty from your organization.
So how does that's okay? We'll buy another one. How does a company get started with Golden Goose? Or an individual?
Yeah, I think the best way is just to reach out. I mean, you can go on our website, goldengoosedm.com. You can give us a call. You can, send us a smoke signal or a carrier pigeon. Let us know. I mean, whatever works for you, we're open to. And that's kind of the best way. Just reach out to us so that we can just kind of help to understand what's going on in your business, so we can see where we're going to be a good fit and how we can help. Because that's a big part. Is we don't, as much as it'd be great, we don't sit around and have some kind of like, we don't have a cookie cutter system. So every person's going to be different. So we want to know what your unique challenges are, so we know what your unique approach is going to be.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.